Hello everyone. Welcome to Pragati Vichar Literature Festival. My name is Kavya Sharma and I am the moderator for today. We have three very special guests with us, but first of all, I'll let you know about the session topic that we all are going to have a conversation about. It's mental wellness, literature from a spirituality and professional perspective. And what would be better than all the panelists that we have today? All of them are the field from spirituality and professional psychology. So first of all, I like to take your take. How do you feel, sir? Nikunj sir, can I start with you? How do you feel participating with us today?
Feel happy that I can help someone achieve to come out of their mental stage wherein they are struggling, and this is a burning issue in society as a whole, whether you are in India or anywhere else in any part of the world. I feel that even WHO has now started to recognize that uh, it, the definition of health, which was previously that a person who is physically healthy, but now they've added this word mentally and emotionally. So mental and emotional health is also equally important according to WHO also.
Right.
So I think it's high time we pay attention on this part of our personality.
Absolutely. I think mental health is as important as a physical health, and now it's time for us to recognize it. So, Chamani ma'am, what is your take? How do you feel being part of us with us today for the chat show?
Thank you so much for having me on this platform. I am feeling so amazing and so thankful. Um, Regarding mental health, I feel very nice because finally people can talk about it. It's a very slow process, but it is coming and it is becoming. It is fine to say I'm not okay, and that doesn't mean I have to start crying about my situation. I see people mature enough to be to be okay that this person is not okay, and इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि there's something happened in their life, or the partner is doing some situation in their life or something. It's just a journal situation that I can say I'm not okay, and the other person can take that space. So, in this scenario of life that we are living in, I think it's a fantastic place to be, to what we have seen when I was growing up, or I see my parents coming from. I think this is the best time that could have happened for all these things to be happening, and it's a small step,
Absolutely.
but at least it has started. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about it. It's a long journey, and thank God we have started taking few steps toward it, and hopefully we will reach out to our goal with a society that openly talks about mental health and well-being. So now I'd like to take your take, Dr. Tarun. How do you feel about being a part of this chat show today?
Right. So I think for me, being a psychiatrist, mental health, it's a process of learning for me. And the journey started around 20 years or maybe a bit more than that for me. And that was a time I was going through the process of understanding, and maybe it started as more of an inquisitive and something that I'm curious about understanding, that how people behave, how things happen, and why people behave in certain way in certain situations, and why people behave differently. And that all started as a kind of a curiosity for me. And over a period of time, even though it's been sort of such a long time being in there, I'm starting to realize, on one hand, I have a duty now to give something back of this learning to the society. And and I'm really grateful to actually platforms like this. And the whole concept of our soul wellness is about that we can create a well informed, a well-being for the mental health for a society, and in a holistic way to
Right.
move around the worldwide. So I think I'm really really grateful that these kind of platforms where we are having this open discussion and creating a level of awareness for people, where people can learn through and can get some level of personal growth and development through these kind of sessions. So thank you so much for keeping me as a part of it as well.
And thank you for starting platforms like Soul Wellness. And as all of us are talking about the steps, the foundation steps that we as a society is taking to make mental health mental health something more people are more aware about, and initiatives like Soul Wellness is, I think, an amazing part. So thank you to you as well for starting it. So I'd like to introduce our panel to our lovely audience, and so brace yourself, everybody. So I'm going to start with Rig Yogi Brahma Kumari Nikunj Ji, a young, dynamic spiritual leader of the Brahma Kumaris who has dedicated his life towards self and world transformation from the past 35 years. By embedding the values set out of the Brahma Kumaris, he has also treasured the experience resulting from sacrifice and goodly services. He is also an author. He has written books in 6 languages. Rajyogi Nikunj has been writing weekly columns and articles in Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, and English all over the country and in Nepal and UK too. It's such an honor to have you here today. Fills me with immense pleasure. Talking to a personality like you, it just gives me so much joy, and I'm sure I'm going to learn so much from you today. Thank you for being a part. Now I'm going to move on to a very special guest, Dr. Shivani Khetan. A multifaceted professional, Dr. Shivani is a clinical hypnotherapist, mental health coach, heal your life coach, a speaker, enrich life through her diverse publications. She's also a writer who writes so well. I am in love with the way you write, and especially the first coffee table book on tarot. It is amazing. I am somebody who believes in tarot so much, and your writing has made me feel so much joy about it. And thank you for people like you who are covering on such diverse topic and making it such memorable journey for the readers. So
Thank
thank
you
you. I
so
hope you
much for
keep on
having
writing
me.
for as long as possible.
Yeah, thank you.
So
And
last
I mean, it's nice to hear. I mean, it was great. I was thinking that tarot is something um, always with the occult it was, and my thought was to have a self-development tool in tarot. And listening from you it was really nice. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think it's a topic that a lot of people cannot cover. You need a sense of knowledge and you need a sense of insight to write something like that. And the way you have portrayed it in the book, I think it you have just nailed it on. And thank you for writing such piece of work.
thank you.
So now I'd like to move on to the next panelist, last but not the least. Dr. Tarun Sehgal is the co-founder of the Soul Wellness. It's a platform revolutionizing preventive mental health. He is a senior consultant psychiatrist and divisional director in a busy public health services and also work as a private psychiatrist. Dr. Sehgal has worked in mental health for more than 2 decades now. He has developed various mental related services and projects over the year. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this chat show and talk to a professional who has been working in the field of mental health for 2 decades. I'm sure I'm going to learn so much about mental health from you today. And with a platform like Soul Wellness, it's surely going to revolutionize mental health someday. So now that our audience know about you all, let's move on to the questionnaire round. So I'll be asking you a few questions that our audience really wanted to know, and our team has prepared for all of you. And I hope we get some insights about mental health and spirituality, and let's move on towards it. So my first question is from Nikunji. Many individuals turn to literature as a form of therapy. How can the collaborative efforts of author and mental health professionals ensure literature becomes a powerful tool for therapeutic self-help?
See, like I said, I was a fortnight back at Lit Festival in Ahmedabad. I strongly feel that the importance of literature in today's generation, it is not so, which was around, 2, 3 decades back. Today, reading, I would say it's interesting to say 15-20% of the population, which is in the age group of 20 to say 30-35. Why so? Because for them, anything and everything in color, it matters. Also, we are today in a digital age wherein, technology rules our minds. And if you look at books, or if I would say per se paper, anything in paper, it's in black and white. So now these things are, for today's generation, it is being considered as, black and white kind of stuff. They want anything and everything which is in color, which has a lot of interesting stuff. And that's the reason perhaps, in our days also, when I was young, I used to just love reading books like Archie's, Tintin, Richie Rich. I don't know whether you guys have heard about the girl who is interviewing us. What is your name?
My name is Kavya.
Kavya.
Yeah.
So while I was studying, maybe the other two, we three of us, we may have read Tintin and Richie Rich and Archie's, which has right now come out with some movie I've heard.
Yeah, Archie's.
So today's generation, I don't know how much they would be interested in reading those books, because for them, all these things, it sounds very nonsensical, and I really don't know. They just love getting hooked up to reels and short videos and things like TikTok and this and that. But what I feel that, especially for my young friends who are watching or listening to me, that, just compare reading something and then watching something. Don't listen to me because I am telling you to do something. Judge yourself. You read one paragraph in some book or any newspaper or any magazine, and then you watch something. You would find the difference.
Exactly.
Your eyes would be strained when you are watching something, and your eyes and brain to some extent would be cooled off when you are reading something. So I feel that things like reading and I think reading in groups and things like, we used to be a big fan of poetries. But today there are children who are interested in poetries, but very, 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 the number and percentage is very minimal. So these things, I think it should be encouraged. One, in schools, second, in family also, and third and most importantly, I mean, among friends also. The kind of content that we are creating or the kind of content that we are making today, it is discouraging reading and it is encouraging more and more digital viewing, which is, I think, dangerous. That is why, I mean, see, lot of small kids, they are having chashma. How old you are?
I'm 23.
Okay, so I'm born in 75. I would be around 50 in a year or two. I don't have chashma. Okay,
I
so
used to
because
watch a lot of TV.
I'm sorry.
I used to watch a lot of TV.
Okay, so our generation, we had very minimal access to television, and the parents were very strict. I'm sure the other two panelists, they would agree with me. Khali Sunday hi dekhne ka. There used to be just one program called Chitrar or Chaya Geet. On there used to be only one channel, Doordarshan. At the most, we were, I mean, movie was once in a month or maybe once in a fortnight. So our digital or anything, the screen viewing, the screen time was very, very minimal, which today is totally opposite. It may take time, but this change should come, I feel, for the good.
And the fact that you touched on the fact when you read something is so different than watching something. I think sometimes it do change the meaning as well and the joy of it. It's
I
just
think
really
Dr. Tarun would agree with me. I mean, they have proved actually that reading releases mood and enhancing neurotransmitters like serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. It helps. You
Yeah.
feel light. In fact, one of the participants in literature festival in Gujarat, she asked me that, what should we read? I said, if you don't like anything, no worries. At least read two paragraphs of any newspaper. No worries. Don't buy any book. No need to, go to any library. At least read two paragraphs or one good column by a good columnist in newspaper. Enrich yourself with good knowledge. That would also help you, and that is also sufficient.
Shivani ma'am, as you're an author yourself, what is your take on this?
Um, like Sir said, even if you don't want to read anything, just read for 15 minutes or 20 minutes of newspaper. Just the problem is the newspapers, whatever they're carrying these days, uh, everything is not great. But yes, I do like some columns, which is like Spiritual Tree started with. So that's a fantastic read, even if you read that every morning. Um, which is again a 15-minute read, and then you get so much of to start your day with. It's something
Right,
very optimistic, it's very something very thoughtful. So definitely the self-help books help you a lot. uh, our ancient scriptures are carrying so much of stuff that if you read that, there's something always to take back. But then, like the new generation, when you don't have time, what do you do? So the new authors like myself, if I'm writing a self-help book, my concern is that can I have a 3-minute reflective exercise where some action can happen on what they have read? So even if it is like a deep breathing, or I'm just talking about something like, how do you feel? It is as much how are you feeling right now? So if you're reading that, can you do a breathing of 2 minutes and you can have an action on that? So if the literature is creating some action in your life, that creates more harmony.
right.
Like so many amazing books are coming out for me. My personals, which I really like, it's always with me. Energize Your Mind, Gopal Das ji ki hai. बहुत simple way में he's written things. He's saying, understand how do you feel. So this feel is carrying so much. If you ask someone how are you feeling, you're actually personalizing yourself, and the person is like, okay, how am I feeling? You touch that part. So if a literature is making you feel in any action, I feel there is a lot we can achieve from that. But reading is important because that sharpens your mind, that creates a lot of a new upskilling of your mind, and then of course all those hormonal things that you are creating, that makes a lot of difference. um, so I would say, first, what are you reading? What are you trying to achieve in life? And if you are picking up any self-help book, you don't have to finish it at one go. You can just read it, two paragraphs and leave it. Read one. Like when Secrets came out, I remember we were all fan, and there were some people who were very disappointed with the book also. They were like, what's there, what's so big? And I was like, why don't you read just one paragraph and just leave it there? And I think I have read Secrets like that only, and it has helped me a lot. It still helps me. Sometimes you really don't know what to do, and you just read something which is meaningful, and you come back to something learning. So I think literature and spirituality both are interwoven,
Right.
but it all starts with reading. Do
So
you
the
want to read or
reading,
you don't want to read?
yeah.
Well, there are certain people who really don't want to read, but then maybe they want to hear something, so you can go to podcast.
Hmm.
So you can go on the books. There are certain people I see, they really can't read. So the books are now on the podcast also. You can go and listen to that for 15 minutes. So, and then do some action. I think if you do some action about it, then it helps you, if you ask me. Yeah.
I think it does. When you read, it's just not about what you're reading, it's also about some sense of peace that you have. Your brain is not going around, it's just focused on a piece of paper that you're reading. You're calmed up and you release some happiness around you, I feel, after when you read something good. So, Dr. Tarun, as from a mental health professional perspective, what do you feel about this?
I think I would 100% agree with what we have talked about so far. And I think just to bring the discussion a bit forward, I think for me, reading is another form of mindfulness. And it is about actually that you immerse yourself in something, you focus there, and that takes away your mind from all the other things which might one be stressed about. And besides that, as Nikunji was saying, that it does actually, the whole mindfulness, the concept of it releases more of the happy hormones for us. It helps us deal better with the stress, and that is one way. Reading on its own without even anything is just the concept of it is a process. Now the other part of it, when you read, you develop a level of knowledge. It educates the individual with that, and that brings a level of personal development and growth for that particular individual, opens their mind, that it brings them much more broader in their thinking, and the whole way it helps in much informed decision making for them, and also be able to reason better with their own thoughts, with their own stress. And readings that way educate us. And it's not just about the current world, as Dr. Ketan was saying, that it's in our ancient scriptures. And even if we go to our Vedas, our Atharveda is about our sort of, the whole thing is about the stable mind. The whole Vedas is dedicated to about the stability of the mind for us. So it's something very ancient. It's there and all over. Sort of Gita, we say our Bhagavad Gita gives answers to all the problems in life, and the more you learn about these things, it's better. So on one hand, yes, the literature, it provides you that immense knowledge, that growth, that level of development. But on the other hand, it is a concept which engages you in the whole mindfulness concept of it. Then it comes to actually what to read, what not to read, and a lot of people ask about that, and that is one thing which puzzles people or take them away from. So as Nukunji was saying, it's not about actually what to read, it's about getting into process of it. And when you get into it, you will find your own interest and you develop. But when it comes to a specifics about the mental health well-being, about the self-help uh, books or guides or whatever we call them, then it is important you have the right source. The source which actually describes, which takes you through the process of addressing that particular problem for you. And that way, you'll be much better informed for your mental health. And once you're better informed for your mental health, the outcomes are, of course, will be much better in terms of your mental health well-being in the long term. So that's how, in general, in my view, that the whole process of literature goes. And just the concept of literature is changing now. It's not just about the scripture. It's not about the books now. Literature is getting well beyond now. The dictionary language of literature is now in the form of ebooks, whether you call it podcast, whether you call all different sort of platform. And the one we are talking today, the way it will get advertised and people get to listen, is another form of learning now as a literature. So the whole concept is changing.
Exactly.
Thank you.
The concept has itself has a new definition now. Moving on to the next question, Dr. Chimani, my next question is to you. The mind body connection tends to be a crucial part of mental wellness. How can one achieve this by achieving personal growth and healing?
So the most of the work that I do, it's related to mind and body, work, which is clinical hypnotherapy. And there's a reason why I started working in this field. Um, so if my mind is not working correct, then my body is actually going to follow it. So I'm not going to talk as just as a layperson. If I'm feeling like I have a headache and suddenly I start giving that feeling to myself, I've seen physically also I start to feel bad about it. And in the same way, what kind of a story am I in my brain telling myself? That's how my physical body is also going to start to do that. So there is a reason why my mind, which is very powerful, has to be in control of me. Otherwise, my physical body is just going to be a part of what is happening there. So when I came into clinical hypnotherapy, this was the part which was not working in my life, and I realized that um, if I was thinking something else, sometimes my body was not working out, and if my body was saying something, my mind was not ready for that, because there were certain habits, there was certain comfort zone I was living in, and I did not want to come out of it. So in my field of clinical hypnotherapy, it really helped me to understand how I could align both of them together. And the best way to do is, even if you don't go to a therapist to be in the first way, is to be just in the mindfulness, which is like, am I living in the present, or am I living in the past, or am I living in the future? So mostly it's the coordination, of where is your mind and what kind of a story am I telling myself. So the both have to align together to give you a life that you want to build. And it all starts from, what kind of emotions am I carrying in my mind? Am I living in anger? Am I living in fear? Am I um, being a child? Am I enjoying my life? What am I doing? And then what am I giving others? Because if the mind is not working, functioning, then your body is just going to go hayway, right? So the coordination is very good. If then you can see amazing things coming out of it. If I want to get up in the morning, go for a run, and my body is saying, I'm not feeling that strength, but the mind is saying, no, no, I have to get up, I have to get up. Somewhere it will leave it because the body is not feeling that strength. So the coordination is very much required by eating well, taking care of yourself, the basics, having a routine, having 10 minutes of mindfulness, just sitting and just seeing yourself. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling? What is it that I can release from myself? So I believe my coming to clinical hypnotherapy was that when we realized that there is certain help that is required. You are doing everything, you read the books, you went everywhere, the therapy is also done with you, but you just don't know why your certain habits are not going. Then that coordination in clinical hypnotherapy helps the person to align whatever you're trying to achieve in life. So it's very important, yes, but starts with being in the present.
I think I would agree with what you said. It's very important to make a connect between your mind and body and to make it function. So now I'd like to move on to Nikunji. Would you like to add something to this?
I think what she said was one word she used, being a child. Uh, a lot of time, most of the times, I mean, I'm being asked this question that, why today, with so much of technical know-how, with so much of scientific development, with so much of development in medical research, why are we so unhappy? I mean, why are we not content, or why are we so disturbed from within? I feel I would pick up from where Dr. Shivani said. The reason, one simple reason, is we have stopped being a child. You should never ever stop being a child, no matter whether you are a 80-year-old or a 50-year-old or 18-year-old, because the child in you would always be alive till you are alive or existing on this earth. What we have done is that the brain, when it starts growing and developing, we feel, मैं भी बड़ा हो गया, अभी बड़ा हो गया, then we get ये पद वो पद and so on. But throughout the day, you should always try and meet that child. Reason for all these miseries which most of the people are experiencing today is we have stopped being that child. Or should I say that we have almost killed that child within us. And this shouldn't happen. And I also feel that, I mean, while growing up, we never heard anything about depression. And what is this all about? Of lately, we are hearing this in, last one decade or so. At the most, I recollect that we used to hear this word tension during our examinations and during our results. That मेरे को आज बहुत टेंशन है. What is this depression? ये तो अभी 10 साल में आ गया है. एंड थेरेपी काउंसलिंग ये तो कुछ पहले तो था ही नहीं कुछ. अभी all this has started now. So how? I mean, see, as children, we used to be emotional, we used to cry, we used to fight. All these emotions we all had. It's nothing new. But today, all these things, they, need a therapy. I mean, last week, one young mother, she came to me and, ma'am, मेरा बेटा आप उसके सिर पे हाथ रख दो. इज मतलब इज एक्सट्रीमली रेस्टलेस एंड बहुत चंचल है, मस्ती बहुत करता है वगैरह वगैरह. आई सेड व्हाट, आई डोंट डू दिस थिंग्स. बट तो हम भी तो मस्ती करते थे. आई मीन दीज टू पैनलिस्ट क्या मस्ती नहीं किया क्या एज चिल्ड्रन? तो आज ये व्हाई ऑल दिस थिंग, ये क्यों नया नया क्यों लग रहा है? रीजन बीइंग द पेरेंट्स, they are themselves so disturbed. Because of that they feel the behavior of the children, it is abnormal. अरे मस्ती बच्चा नहीं करेगा तो कौन करेगा? But because today we have nuclear families, because there is no joint family structure, because today children, they are not getting that love and affection from grandparents, the immediate family like chacha chachi, mama mami. How many of the children today उनको अनुभव ये grandparents का है ही नहीं? Both the parents, they go for work. This is the core of increasing number of mental disorders in children. Forget about young adolescents or young people, but children, they go a lot for counseling these days. Both of other panelists would agree with me. Good number of children are undergoing counseling. This should be addressed, I think. I'm concerned about this.
Dr. Tarun, would you like to add something as you generally see patients, children of that age group? Would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, even though I don't see as children for treating their mental health, but this is one thing what I generally observe in my adult population, that they want their kids to be adult as soon as they can. They sort of they don't want them to be a child, because being a child for them to manage in what we are talking about in nuclear settings, where we are already so much people say that they're short of time, nobody has time to do anything, and that's where to deal with the childish behavior becomes another stress for particular individuals. And that's where sort of somewhere that level of support, that level of connection between the parent and child somewhere get lacked. And
Right.
that is one of the key sort of that what we call as a safe relationship establishment, or as a secure attachment, that is somewhere get missed. And that is one of the key sort of problems with the development of the lot of mental health related complaints we hear within children. And for the concept of body and mind, the, first of all, it's very difficult to explain what is mind to a lot of people. And it's in a lot of way it's a sense of feeling actually what the mind is about. And one can say in maybe to explain to a layperson that yes, if say brain is your hardware, mind is somewhere your software to it. And understanding that mind is very very difficult concept on its own. And that is where a level of, I think, childishness and maturity to go hand in hand. And and once you have that level of connection between yourself, that understanding that unhappiness is a state of mind as well, it's not something as a problem. It's okay to be unhappy, it's okay to be sad. Not everyone is bound to be happy all the time in each and every situation. No one can be. People get unhappy, and that's okay. That's a part of a state of mind, it's an emotion, and accept it as a simple emotion. And the more we look scientifically about the understanding of the mind, we know that several studies which shows, say in stressful situation, it releases certain level of stressful hormones, whether we call these as cortisols, or say the impact on the red cell or white cells, and impact on the level of immunity. And these all things are well evident. The scientific research is there. We know that just on its own, cognitive behavior therapy, which is nothing more about, it's about the thinking process, that how your thinking is connected with your emotions, with your feeling, with your behavior on its own, how that is related to generating certain level of specific neurotransmitters in your body, and that release gives a level of de-stress. And the similar way, when we talk about yoga, mindfulness, meditation, all these things are now proven actually, that there are evidence, there are trials which have proven scientifically that these kind of exercises, they generate certain neurotransmitter or the GABA transmitters, and these are the transmitter what we call as the relaxing sort of neurotransmitter. It relaxes mind. These are sort of well proven aspects. And now the other concept is not just the mind. The second mind is not, it's the belly actually. What we eat, what our gut is, what we are eating. And that's what we call it sort of as a belly brain is another. And what we were talking earlier, one of the neurotransmitters, serotonin, 95% of it is through the belly. And that's where again there are studies which shows that just by giving the right diet and as the treatment, besides just giving as a supportive therapy, the people on the right diet with the right therapy do much better in terms of their mental health well-being. And again, these are well proven concepts. So it's about the connection and understanding of the mind and body again. And that's where again the literature, the education, the whole knowledge process, these kind of discussions, increasing awareness, all this brings together having that better understanding. The more we understand about our own self, our own body, our health, our physical health, we will have a much better healthy mind with it, and hence the much better healthy well-being of our mental health. So it's all goes hand in hand, these concepts.
Okay. So, my next question is to Dr. Shivani. Your latest book, Enhancing Leadership Through Deeper Self Awareness, talks about the clinical hypnotherapy and art therapy. How do such things help in regulating individual stress?
Yeah. So the new book is actually a celebration for myself because I'm doing both the things and I love both the medium of the work that I do. And before actually telling you about the book, I would say in one line, the book is from coming from I can't to I am. Okay. And how clinical hypnotherapist and expressive artwork. Expressive artworks is music, dance, poetry, writing, percussion instruments, color. You know, how these things can help you to connect with yourself, and whatever is still left, how clinical hypnotherapist can help you to release whatever mental blocks you feel that as a child or as a belief system or whatever culture you have come from, still you feel that you are not able to release, because you know each one is carrying a trauma or a baggage. And I understand, I can relate to sir when he said, uh, kaha hota tha depression. No one used to use that word depression. I don't remember. You're saying depression, I'm saying even divorce was a no word for us to be used, you know. I mean, if it, I mean, I remember when I got married and there were certain times I told my father it's not working, and he was like, I don't know you. You please go back to your house. You know, he was so rude to me. I just can't tell you. But he could understand that I was going through a phase. It was nothing wrong with my partner. It was me who was having a situation. So the point here is the words that are being used today, what we have not seen them with our parents, or maybe to some extent my co-panel also have not seen that, but now we see that a lot, how easily we can forget ourselves. I am. Because a certain child is doing something very good, the parent want the other child also to play a golf. Then they want
Right.
them to go for a dance. Then they want them to go for something else. then what are you? You know, it's very important that as a soul, I have come here for my purpose. So I have to find my purpose. I can't become because my neighbor child is very good in poetry, so I have to become a poet, or my neighbor child is becoming first, then the parent is going to tell the child, you're not becoming first, so there's something wrong with you. And you lose that sense of I am somewhere in this ruckus of life. So my book is all about, first we tell, even if the adults come for, they're like 50-year-old who come for work with me, they're CEOs of a company, and I tell them, okay, pick up a crayon, and we're working with the crayons, and they're like, are you sure? I haven't touched these crayons for a decade. I don't remember. After my school, I don't remember even touching these crayons. And when they work with it, there was a certain gentleman who had tears in his eyes. He says, you gave my childhood back. I don't remember being so happy, so nice, and so much. 15 minutes तक मैंने अपना phone भी नहीं देखा कि कितने लोग मुझे phone कर रहे हैं, या I have to go back. So the book is all about from I can't, how you can find yourself to I am. And in that we have certain tools. I've created certain reflective exercises which are like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and and how those can help you to reconnect with yourself. So the book is not telling you a lot of how you should be, but the book is all about how you could be. Because we live in shoulds, I say should has a lot of baggage. Let's live in a could. So that's why I said for me the book is a celebration.
So my next question is for Nikunji. Your life transformed at a young age due to a chance encounter with Rajyogi Brahmakumari Diti Nalini Ji. How did this spiritual awakening shape you and your journey towards stress-free living?
See, I came to Brahma Kumaris as a 13-year-old, 1-3. So I always tell everyone that I'm perhaps the one who does not have this normal parenting experience. I have been single-handedly brought up by 21 wise women, those who are today called as dadis and didis in Brahma Kumaris, one of the oldest organization of the world, which is being managed by women only. So, I mean, my whole worldview is like women centric. I never learned to think like a man. But I have never considered myself. I still feel I am a boy only. I have not allowed that child in me to grow up much. And that's the reason that I am always in a happy-go-lucky mode. When I met her, under whom I took Diksha in the year 1994, and she has parented me. She is my parent. What I liked about being here as an organization is that as a child, nobody expected anything out of me. I just got, and got. What I got was unconditional love and affection, which even in those days, it was much needed by my generation. And I would say even today, it is much needed by today's younger generation. What they need is unadulterated love and affection. I mean, just they want something for which they do not have to give anything in return. So, children, I think if they are brought up in an environment wherein, as Dr. Shivani said, that nothing is expected out of them, you should allow the children to make them their own, fortune, to make their own future. That way, it would help a child to nurture and develop himself or herself. In fact, I have also written to the Prime Minister of India with a lot of points to make education reforms in our education system. We are all very result oriented. Why should it be so? this 35 का ये जो दिमाग में 35 हुआ तो पास. We should leave children free. Let him or her decide their own future. So I think in my case, I was lucky to choose what I wanted to become. I was given, even after taking Diksha, I was given the freedom to study. I was never advised by anyone. I was never told by anyone, you do this. I mean, I don't know what impression people have about the Brahma Kumaris, but for me, I have been brought up in a very, very liberal background, and I was given a lot of liberties to choose what I want to do, how I want to be, and that has shaped me up. So I think to some extent, I mean, for people, terms like spirituality or something like you go to a meditation class or people, they feel that हमको सब छोड़ देना पड़ेगा and what not. But I think it's like you are wearing clothes, you eat food, you go for exercising. Spirituality is also something of that kind. It's a part of your life. It's nothing like मैंने join किया है. You can't join spirituality. You can't start meditating. I feel everyone who is existing on this planet, he or she, they are good meditators, but they don't know that they are meditating. So it's like you can't join anything. It has to be a part of you. It has to be a part of a personality. I feel today's generation, they should be made aware about this. Again, like she used the word child. I mean, I would first of all congratulate her for the courage she has shown by using the word that, when things were not working out with her and her partner, she told her father. This has been the biggest cause of concern today. I get a lot of women who come to meet me with cases like, domestic abuse, good educated women. In fact, girls of your age, I mean, they get beaten up by their boyfriends or partners, and yet they want to, hang on. Why? I don't know why. So somewhere I feel that that level of self-esteem, self-respect, as children, especially in girl child, if that level of self-respect and self-esteem, it is kept raised during her growing up years, then I think we would see very less amount of divorce cases. We would see less amount of domestic abuse cases. The thing is that there is a lot of inequality in the society as far as gender is concerned. In fact, I have written at stretch a lot of my columns are on gender inequality, and because of that, there are a lot of mental issues in women also per se, because they are not able to judge. The parent would be saying something else, her heart would be saying something else, friends would be saying something else. So the right judgment comes when you are in right frame of mind, and that right frame of mind is achievable only when your self-esteem and self-respect are in good positioning. Otherwise you would be always looked down upon. So I think each one of us, at least during our growing up years, that level of self-respect and self-esteem, it should be maintained.
So I think, as you mentioned about the fact, the about self-respect, as you quoted at the end, it's very important. And we, as an individual, if we won't respect our own self, I think we won't be able to respect anything around us. So that is a very valid point that you put in. So my next question is for Dr. Tarun. As a co-founder of Soul Wellness, can you elaborate on the vision behind the innovative tech platform and Soul Wellness app's role in preventing mental health? What differentiation does Soul app brings, and how is it different from other platforms?
Sure. Yeah, first of all, I think the session so far has been really educational for me as well. And there's so much to learn, and really thankful to all of you been giving this opportunity actually. I think it's for the soul, there's something which really came from our heart. It's not something we sort of looked as a business model or anything. That the whole idea started around the time of COVID, when we realized that there's nothing when people wants to have some kind of authentic place where they can get help for their mental health and well-being. There wasn't anything which was there. And this came from my own personal journey and experience. My sister, she had quite a difficult time during COVID, and that's where we realized when she was recovering, there was a challenge with her sort of time dealing and coming out of that trauma of going through the whole of the COVID experience wasn't easy. And it, with all the lockdown, there wasn't any easy sort of accessibility to have some platform, some place where people can go and get help for their mental health. And that's where the whole concept started for us, that look, we need to do something where we can create and we give something back to the society. And there was no sort of intention anywhere that we want to make money out of it. And then I still say that quite loud. So the idea is to create something where people can go get some help for their mental health, and somewhere which is authentic and a level of help for the holistic view. And as we grew over the years, what we have realized now, soul wellness is more like a concept for us. It is a concept. We are not trying to cure the unwell. We are now trying to give that level of mental health well-being and stabilizing the stable. And we want to create somewhere which is a global level, that yes, anyone anywhere can access this level of mental health. And we are trying to sort of get into different languages as well. People can have access in their own way what they want, and the platform should give that option to people. The second thing, it's something we want to create as a virtual. Of course, it's, again, it's not easy accessible everywhere, and the time factor comes in our lives now. So time has become, whether we like or not, is one of the most expensive commodity for us. You have to pay for getting time in the current world. If you want time from someone, if you want to give time to someone in some way or form, you're sacrificing on the monetary value of it. And that's a very odd concept we live in. And that's where the whole sort of digital platforms, these all these different concepts, that's why these all are the booming industry in this current world. Besides that, and that's where the soul wellness, it helps in giving that kind of flexibility to people. One, if they can't afford, if they don't have time, that is something at basic level it's available to people, they can have access. And the third thing is, it's about holistic. It's not just about that we want to treat depression or anxiety or panic disorder, we want to treat ADHD or a specific thing. What we are offering is, you decide what you want, what is your mental health well-being, and you look for through the platform. We are giving a range of options, but our idea is giving that holistic view. And we are giving all different kind of allied health options: art therapy, dance therapy, ayurveda, yoga, meditation, all those things are there. The books which we are having, even the different sort of health products and these things which will get there eventually. The concept is about giving this holistic mental health well-being globally, and complete solution at a virtual level that we can provide to any individual, and then something which they can tailor to them, to themselves. And we would like to sort of create, even for like for the educational sector, for schools, for universities, for corporate sector, we can tailor to their needs the kind of options they want to create for their mental health and well-being of their students, of their employees in corporate world. And all those sort of options, we have sort of created this platform which is giving the complete holistic solution. And it is amazing for me to even look at that, even a simple concept like that how we have extended so far. And until today, all the downloads, everything, we are keeping it free for people to have access to. Even like these videos, things like that will get there on the platform. And there are plenty of other videos which are there, all this educational material which is there. And we want to keep it sort of available to individual, that they don't have to pay, and they can sort of choose their journey towards their mental health well-being. So that's the concept.
I think it's a beautiful concept and a really noble work that you all are doing at Soul Wellness. I hope it heals as much people as it can. And the approach that you said, that it's not for people with depression, ADHD, it's for the people, it's for everybody, people like you and I. It's basically more on the preventive side. So it's an amazing approach. I'd like to thank each one of you for joining us today. It was a wonderful session. I have learned a lot. I have enlightened myself with all the conversation today. Thank you. It was an immense pleasure for me. Thank you so much. So, any final takes from
Thank
all
you
of
so
you?
much.
Nikun sir, would you like to say something?
I just want to tell to you and your friends who are in the age of 20 to 30s, guys, please don't go to, I mean, an extent of giving up your life, because in last 1 month I have dealt with I mean, three very sad cases who have gone to the extent of committing suicide. Out of them, two of them died, one is still recovering. I mean, things like breakup and things like um, getting failed in your exams, or things like not getting a new mobile which is being launched in the market, your parent is not buying you that stuff. Don't be, I mean, so weak in your mind that you, God has given you this life which is so precious. I mean, both of my panelists would agree with me. I really, I request to all my young friends, don't do this. Don't go to the extent of giving away your life for certain things which are not that important. Your life is so important. Life is so big, you can get so many opportunities. There will be one breakup, you get someone else in your life. Don't do this, please.
It was such a beautiful message for all the young generation out there, and thank you so much for saying
Yeah.
it out loud. So, Dr. Samani, would you like to say something as a closing message?
Just whatever you're expecting from others, I would say first give it to yourself. Like sir said, no breakup is worth it. लेकिन अगर मैं किसी से लव चाह रहा हूँ कि वो मुझे प्यार करे, बट खुद को तो पहले आप प्यार कर दीजिए. That is more
Exactly.
important. So I feel अपने आप को प्यार करें आप. If you love yourself, people will come to you. And if they don't love you, then there's something they have to find in their own journey, and it's not your journey. And then see why you came to this life, and then just be yourself. That's it. That's how I
Self-love is
live.
anything, Dr. Tarun, you would like to add as a closing message?
No, I think first of all, it's been such a privilege being here and very thought provoking actually this whole session, and I think things like these are very important for us to sort of communicate around and increase awareness, and just to sort of taking forward to the discussion we are having. I think it's about keep on trying, and yes, nobody gets success in one go. Things doesn't happen all the time the way we want, but that is it's about actually that we should keep on trying and make things, and over a period of time, if you keep on, it happens and you get to achieve those things. Just, I think we all have heard one of the great sort of poem, and it goes like this: लहरों से डर कर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी
But
हार
kabhi
नहीं
haar
होती.
nahi hoti.
I think it's amazing, isn't it? And असफलता एक चुनौती है, स्वीकार करो.
Swikar karo.
And so I think it's important to keep those sort of simple basic things in mind, and we kind of lose the presence or the present, and we try to ruminate about the past, or we try to sort of think about what we can achieve in the future, but somewhere we all tend to sort of not don't being there in our present and to enjoy that feeling of being present, and what you're doing, what you're sort of at that moment living, enjoy that part of it, and that is something which will create your future, and that is something which will make you forget the things you don't want to remember about the past. It's about the present to live in. So that's a take from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us, and thank you, our lovely audience, for being a part. So we will see you soon with more such
Yeah,
sessions.
thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
having me here, and thank you so much. It was so much of a learning to be here.